When Jeff Brydon and Aviv Bromberg awoke, they found themselves in an eerie silence and a perplexing darkness. It was 8:30 a.m., an hour when the sun should have been shining brightly. But instead, a lingering night cloaked their surroundings. Brydon unfastened the tent with his headlamp, causing a half-inch layer of ash to cascade off the rainfly. The modest beam from his light cut through the thick veil of descending ash. The world appeared to be devoid of color, replaced by a blanket of monochrome gray. The once vibrant orange and red leaves, golden grasses, and shimmering blue of the lake had all vanished. Their campsite was now next to a muddy lake. Because of the suffocating haze, Brydon's headlamp had a reach of only 5 feet. Turning off the light, on the other hand, resulted in a near impenetrable darkness that consumed their vision. Uncertainty loomed as the ash continued to fall relentlessly. Brydon and Bromberg had no idea how long this ashen veil would last, or when the river's pristine clarity would return. The situation became more concerning as they would run out of water in less than a day. Jeff Brydon and his new traveling companion, 24-year-old Aviv Bromberg, had set out 48 hours before on their journey along the 32-mile Villarrica Traverse. This journey began in Chile's tranquil lake region, a few hundred miles north of Patagonia. They set out in the early morning darkness, with an orange plume of smoke billowing 6 miles away. A foreboding feeling had seized Brydon as he cast his gaze towards the Villarrica Volcano. This was an active volcano that had erupted in a fiery rage just a month before. The Park Service staff had insisted that the park was closed due to fresh snowfall that made the trail difficult to navigate. Despite the warnings, the weather forecast promised a sunny day, enticing them to take the risk. After all, they'd come all this way to experience the legendary traverse that snaked through the Andes' volcanic, snow-capped expanse. This was their only chance to see the remote wilderness in all its raw beauty. However, it meant they'd have to go on this adventure without the Park Service's permission or even knowledge. The first part of their journey presented Brydon and Bromberg with a constantly changing landscape. Their path led them upward, past bamboo thickets and the oddly named monkey puzzle trees. They wound their way through moss-covered forest, crossed a ridge ablaze with red and orange leaves, and navigated their way across black volcanic hills. When they arrived at the snow line of a nearby volcano, they noticed that there were no footprints, a clear indication that they were the only adventurers in this vast wilderness. On the second day, they followed a path through ancient lava fields and desolate plains, gradually ascending to a vantage point with panoramic views of mountain peaks and red-hued forests nestled below. By the end of the day, they had traveled 25 miles, bringing them much closer to the towering Villarrica Volcano, which now loomed 8,000 feet above them. After establishing their camp, they took a short hike to a nearby lake, where they enjoyed a refreshing swim. They reveled in the pristine wilderness surrounding them, overcome by a sense of pure luck. A distant boom echoed across the landscape as the sun began to set. Brydon dismissed it, blaming it on a rockfall somewhere in the mountains. Their instincts screamed at them to flee as they awoke from their slumber amidst a swirling blizzard of ash. Their fears were heightened as questions raced through their minds. Was the ash toxic? Was there any danger of slag falling from the sky like lethal meteorites? To counteract the rising tide of fear, Brydon pretended to be optimistic, exclaiming, "What a beautiful day for a hike." He wasn't sure what the blast range for molten rock was, but it was undeniably time to leave. Even with their headlamps, visibility was limited. The trail markers were barely visible in the midst of the blinding ash storm. To protect their lungs from the abrasive ash, they fashioned makeshift masks out of their shirts. Squinting through the grit, they set out in the direction of the last trail marker they'd seen, which they estimated was about 200 feet away. Bromberg's headlamp was too weak to break through the oppressive gloom, so he stayed close to Brydon, seeking refuge within the modest halo of light cast by Brydon's more powerful lamp. They continued on, two figures adrift in an ash sea. The familiar red, 3-foot-tall metal post that had guided Jeff Brydon and Aviv Bromberg so far had vanished in the ashy mist. They stumbled across an open field, only to be met with a formidable barrier of bushes, forcing them to retrace their steps. They became disoriented in the darkness, hitting more and more dead ends. Brydon felt a creeping sense of panic as the prospect of straying even further from the trail became a more real threat. Then, a spark of hope ignited when Bromberg remembered having a compass app on his phone. They found the first trail marker after 20 agonizing minutes of blind navigation. They still had 6 miles to go. They began their descent along what they hoped was the correct trail, constantly comparing the direction of the compass with the map. Brydon collided with unseen branches lurking in the shadows, causing ash showers to fall on them and obstruct their vision. Each trail marker they discovered was a beacon of hope in the desolate landscape. Despite numerous instances of trail abandonment, Brydon's tracking abilities began to improve. Broken branches, worn logs, and faint footprints began to emerge as useful indicators, akin to elusive trail markers. They made commendable progress in the forest's secluded areas. The open expanses, on the other hand, posed a challenge, with no discernible trail to follow and no hints pointing the way. The world around them was a swirl of unending ash, a never-ending storm confined to the sliver of light their headlamps could muster. The looming blackness threatened to engulf them, a physical manifestation of their fear that each step they took would lead them astray. Brydon, as a certified wilderness first responder, was well versed in handling emergency situations in the backcountry with calm and methodical planning. It was time to put that knowledge to use. They came to a halt in their panicked movements to strategize. Brydon remembered a common navigational technique used when lost in a maze or cave system: maintain constant contact with a wall. By following this strategy, one would inevitably come across an exit. They decided to apply this reasoning to their current situation. They stayed close to the forest's edge, scanning each possible trail continuation and ruling out any false leads. When they finally saw a trail marker emerge from the gloom, their hearts surged with relief. At about 10:30, a fleeting shadow whizzed past Brydon's headlamp as they entered another patch of woodland. In another minute, a second dark figure danced in their meager beam of light, adding an eerie element to their plight akin to a horror film scene. A small bird darted from the surrounding foliage into a cloud of ash, making a beeline for Brydon's face, drawn to the first light it had seen since the sun had failed to rise. As the clock approached midday, the relentless fall of ash began to slow. Their visibility improved, revealing patches of dim orange sky and shadowy tree outlines. Weakened by hunger, they took a break to eat uncooked oatmeal flavored strangely with dulce de leche and ash. Despite its dry and gritty texture, the meal provided a distinct satisfaction. They noticed a faint blue orb, the obscured sun, as the sky gradually changed from a dim orange to a mellow yellow. When the ashfall stopped, it revealed a hauntingly beautiful grayscale world, like navigating through a dream. Their tired steps eventually brought them to a road, where they stood, covered head to toe in ash, looking like apocalyptic survivors. A bus appeared out of the haze at that precise moment. They waved it down frantically and were relieved to discover it was returning to Pucón. They had successfully escaped their predicament. Only later did Brydon and Bromberg realize the truth. Their ordeal was not a repeat performance by Villarrica. It was the eruption of Volcan Calbuco, 130 miles away, that sent an ash plume 6 miles high. Their location had been directly downwind of this eruption. Back in Pucón, the people were transfixed by the eruption that was playing out on their television screens. Brydon, on the other hand, had only one destination in mind: a much-needed shower. Thank you so much for watching. We appreciate your time and hope you enjoyed the video. If you liked what you saw, be sure to check out the other great content on our channel. Your support means the world to us, and we can't wait to bring you more. Thank you again, and see you in the next video.